What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's live. Just want to start it off with a quick update of maybe what we're seeing in the market, what's going on, and yeah, what the rest of the week, how the rest of the week may unfold. No trades for me today. I was a bit risk off, just because a lot of my biases aligned with a bullish dollar. So that's EU short, or USD short, pound JPY, USD JPY long. But in London session, I just, from what we're seeing at the time, was getting more of a bearish sentiment. I think the run of these highs here, I'd taken that more of a sweep of liquidity, more as a sweep of liquidity than a distribution to the upside. And then obviously we gap down here as we're coming lower. And just on the 15-minute, this was sort of London open time. And so we did get this sweep to the downside just after London open. And I was then waiting to see if we got a proper distribution to the upside on this, and then as well on some of the other pairs to see whether that would continue for the day, and we didn't. We kind of sold off. I know CAD interest rates were released today. Let me actually maybe check. I'm not sure if they cut rates or if they remained unchanged. So they remained. Oh, so they did cut rates. They did cut rates, and so I think that's probably the market's taking that as a strong sign that a dollar rate cut is practically guaranteed. I think it already was kind of heading into the session. I know jobs data is going to be a key indicator of that this Friday. But I mean, other central banks have started cutting rates. So yeah, I think we just got the sell off that news, and then subsequently, and just maybe before I move on from this, we did have mitigation of 4-hour order block. We weren't yet at equilibrium, and so I do see this though as a temporary inducement before we do come up higher to take that out, potentially coming up to this order block. Might not be this week. But yeah, that's I'm still maintaining that bias. Maybe if we do start to correct and then we press lower, then obviously the structure would have shifted, I think, significantly then, and then we can see maybe these areas being targeted and further downside before we come up and then get a more defined sort of sell-off, or a sell-off that aligns at least with my plan, because I'll only be looking for this to sell off from that 50% area. Euro USD, similar. I think this one, the inducement was kind of clearer. So look, we held within this daily fair value gap, but missed the order block here. But we did violate it to the downside. So still anticipating this to come lower. We do have this fair value gap to the upside that I think price is reaching for. We've taken out these highs, but a lot of this obviously influenced by the news that we just got now. So there was no trade for me here, but I think there could be something potentially lining up for London session tomorrow. Just looking at the key indicator area lying above. But then we've also got, I think, the completion of look clearer, I think maybe AUD-USD. But it really was looking like just left shoulder ahead, right shoulder. Obviously, this is the start. We have just completed a touch there, but I think looking for that consolidation over Asian session, sweep to the upside, and then to come lower. Um, I think the near miss here is just a bit of a confluence there. I think that's a 4 hour near miss. Yeah, 4 hour fair value gap near miss. So I'm anticipating this to potentially just correct for the rest of the session. Could continue higher, obviously could sell off, but there was no entry for me as yet. The 4 hours been relatively corrective over the week, so yeah, there haven't been entries. This is something that I'd actually marked out at the start of New York. I had no forecast for my New York session. There was also high impact news on the dollar, and I was also traveling. I was on the road, so there was no setup here. Um, but yeah, this came up into the 50% area. We sweep this first high here to the left, and then we sold off almost immediately. I mean, got the initial sweep, I think, then the 5 minute run of liquidity, the shifted structure at 5 past 5. This candle had closed, but I think we only got that 5 minute sort of alignment afterwards. Obviously, there was the order block that, yeah, literally only violated 5 minutes after. So it would have been a short, arguably maybe 1 minute. Yeah, look, 1 minute had shifted. But yeah, just wasn't at the charts here. So yeah, this looks like it's selling off. And if it does, then it will be a mistrade for me that I'll log there. Obviously, looking at the risk to reward, having taken it there with stops somewhere above there. Look, I'm targeting these areas or somewhere just below. So not sure whether I would have been able to get a 1:3. But I think if it doesn't sell off, what are we looking for? Similarly to Euro USD, a bit of consolidation over Asian session. Nothing really happens, and then we get the protraction run of these highs, the violation of these highs as well, mitigation of the 62% level, and then we will also be within, just I guess, deeper within the 1 hour fair value gap, and then looking to take that short. So yeah, I don't have too much FOMO on this. I'm also not one to take setups off very impulsive price action. And so, yeah, just going to see how this plays out. But I think we could get a bit of consolidation over Asian to then have some really nice short opportunities tomorrow. On JPY, to be honest, this one got a bit messy. Was looking for longs initially, but then yeah, we just came lower and lower and haven't stopped coming lower. We've swept these clean highs here, these clean lows. I mean, these 4 hour clean lows. And I was looking for a breach of these clean highs here to look at taking price to the upside. Obviously, we had this fair value gap here, so that was a bit of a barrier. And none of that happened. We've just been coming low, and I think the fact that we are below this dynamic sort of support here will see price come down into these areas way down here. So yeah, this one, it was a bit of, I took a bit of a neutral approach to this because obviously on this daily primary sort of major swing from that swing high to the swing low, we weren't yet at the 50% level. But looking at the minor swing, that point there, we definitely breached. We were with optimal trade entry, and we had arguably this consolidation run to the upside, and then a daily engulfing, which looks like we continuing lower. So one where we could potentially start looking for short plays. Yeah, not going to be too focused, I guess, on the correlation between EU and this or dollar index. I think more so with USD JPY. Just be interested to see how this plays out with that. But yeah, want to obviously take this out of a valid area. There's nothing within the immediate structure where I could potentially take a position. We do have this order block here that's formed, and we'll see how price just sort of behaves over Asian session. And if we get anything else, if we don't, then it's fine. But yeah, this looks like it's selling off. I think similarly on USD JPY, this one a bit more aggressive, in line with how the dollar kind of tanked. Um, this one was a bit cleaner though from a daily perspective. We were at the 50% level from the swing. I think arguably even on the, well, no, I didn't really take it from this high because I thought that was just it was way out. From the swing, we reached the 50%, got there once. Um, yeah, sold off from the 50% level, formed that order block. We came up, tested that order block, and have sold off now. Um, and so, yeah, I think a bit of a mistrade here for me. While look at it occurred over Asian session, and there might have been something here yesterday. So we'll maybe look in a bit deeper into that in terms of mistrade. But then again, sold off just before kill zone open, so might not have been anything there. But yeah, we'll again, now that we've kind of confirmed that short play, we'll be looking at areas like here, this order block. If we're looking to continue to the upside, that's potentially an area that I want to be trading out of. So we'll look to see how this develops over Asian session, what we get there, traction, and then obviously looking for that to come lower. We've got daily targets inside now. This is a pro trend trade. 4 hour, I can confirm, is pro trend with the daily bias. You can see we've sold off and we've invalidated quite a few structural levels. So yeah, looking for this to continue. Okay. So now coming to our back testing. I'm gonna load it. Coming to our back testing. Um, this week's focus will be on back testing USD JPY, quarter 1 of this year to quarter 3. And this will be the session focus for the following sort of couple of trading sessions. I really want to start building consistent data on pairs, especially some of the newer pairs that I've added to my list. And so, yeah, I do want to be consistent with this over the coming trading sessions or back testing sessions. Sorry, just getting my tea in. And obviously, still over the next couple of weeks, I'll be learning new concepts, still going through ICT. I'm on month 3 now of the mentorship. But I want to, obviously, now that I feel like a concrete plan, and what I learn now will be building on top of that foundation. I won't have, maybe at least in these sessions, backtesting blocks sort of focused on isolated concepts. It will, going forward, always speak to my current plan and how that new lesson can improve or help me optimize that plan without um, going against the rules of the plan. I can still stick to the rules of the plan, but I'm incorporating a new lesson that I've learned. And, so I'm looking at things from maybe with a new lens or from a different perspective, which influences my interpretation of the existing rules in my plan. Obviously, with the intention to improve the outcome, which is better strike rate, just more consistent interpretation of the market based on the strategy, which will ultimately lead to higher profits. So for this week at least. And each week there'll be new observations, which are things that I kind of just want to take note of in the session. This week, it's looking at the correlation between USD JPY and its correlation with pound JPY and the dollar index, how that sort of influences the pair. When I do identify potential setups, what are those two other asset classes doing? And yeah, whether to win or loss, how were the other pairs behaving? And then something that I picked up on from a UJ position earlier in the week. So I've taken one position this week. It was 1.5% loss on USD JPY. It's how likely a pair will retrace beyond 100%. So basically do a 100% retracement or break structure if it exceeds the 79% optimal trade entry area. Because that's something I'm kind of noticing in hindsight now, is that once we get into a very deep correction, hence beyond 79%, it's more often than not that we just that structural leg just isn't respected at all. So that if over time or if over enough trades, I see that that's something that can almost be an early warning sign, then yeah, that's I think will be some good information to take forward. And then just also looking at trying to use my stop losses as areas where my bias is invalidated. Because it is just a bit frustrating to get stopped out and then something, trades in your direction. I'd rather get stopped out and just be wrong completely on the bias. And if I have to sacrifice some risk to reward to achieve that, because, my stop is in an area where, liquidity is currently being targeted, then I would rather increase it by 10 pips, and be able to withstand that extra drawdown, but then ultimately still stay in the trade for my minimum 1:3 instead of now getting a 1:5 or 1:4. If that's something that proves to be significant over time, then again, useful piece of information going forward. So I think this is just all part of the intention to understand my plan in greater detail and add more. Yeah, just go deeper in these sessions. So yeah, let's begin. I'm gonna just leave a comment for those maybe joining from now on that into this week's session. Apologies for the silence. We are back testing. Feel free to ask me any questions and I'll be sure to answer them. So that's posted. Yeah, let's First things first, we just need to obviously make sure we are clear on what the plan is. So just refreshing our memory before we get into forecasting. Sorry for the delay on that. I was just trying to figure out when daylight saving starts, but it's fine. It's only in March, so London Open will still just be at 9, and then yeah, during daylight savings, when we get there, when we cross that bridge, we'll get there. We'll change it. I mean, when I look back at this, I'll know why I laughed in this moment. Just thinking about score a day. Remember? Oh goodness. Okay. Daily is in discount. That's what I'm seeing here. Um, we're at the 79% level. Still observing what I was saying around just keeping an eye on retracements below this. I'm not saying I'm not going to trade or consider anything below 79% is still part of the primary trend, but yeah, just definitely mindful of that area. 4 hour is counter trend. You can see it hasn't really shifted. Um, let's just take it a bit closer to entry counter trend. So we are, and we're not in a daily, I'm just sort of not in a daily order block or fair value gap or anything. No, nothing on the daily. 4 hour, is there potentially any freshly minted order block? There's this order block, but God, I don't like this candle here. So let's assume there isn't. But even then, if I wanted to take it, the 1 hour would have had to be in alignment, and it isn't. So look, there's maybe potentials for short. What are we seeing? That's something I also want to just practice a bit more, looking at both scenarios, long, short, and seeing what meets my plan, and then just trading the setup that's available. Um, obviously, it must make sense from the high time frame through the trade parameters right down to the entry confirmation. But it's just that thing of trying to consider all scenarios and making an objective investment decision. So for daily is deeply discounted, but the 4 hours bearish. Are we in any key indicator areas on the 4 hour? Heading into London Open. I don't know why the gap is so short, so it's Jan. We actually are mitigating this order block here. So let's see how this behaves over the London session, and we may have a trade. So if we come back to our plan, is price at or mitigated EPD? Yes. 4 hour trend is counter trend. My entry counter trend or pro trend. My entry is counter trend because we are hitting lower counter to the daily trend. It's priced within a key indicator area during London or New York Hill Zone. We are in a 1 hour order block. We have mitigated it. Maybe that's something I need to change. Just has price mitigated a key indicator area. Yeah. Um, so yeah, we can proceed to trade parameters. Once we get to our trade parameters, we are asking ourselves, is my trade in alignment with the 1 hour range? Let's take a look. We are, from what I can see. Um, this low obviously broke there, but then we broke back above this high, so this became our new high. Then we impulse lower, broke here, arguably shifted structure when we broke here too. But this is now the hourly range that we are trading in. So we are. Then the second question would be, are we at EPD? Is price at EPD? Taking it, look, I'll take it from both and we can just compare. From the minor one, we are, which is expected. And then from the major one, we also are. And I'll keep it at that major one. We also are, which is, yeah, so expected, because you can see it's corrected quite deeply. What I'm just also noting, just for added confluence, is this fair value gap here. Our micro time frame fair value gap that can add as a good just sort of stop placement area. Something that I've seen and that I like to see is we impulsed quite aggressively coming up into the area and then impulse quite aggressively coming down. And so this general area here had quite a bit of volatility. So I'm just going to play this out, and then if there is a trade to put on, yeah, obviously we're looking for protraction counter to our bias higher, and then looking for a sweep of liquidity or mitigation of a key indicator area. We've already mitigated the key indicator area, but I mean, let's just see where we are when price gets to the open. So yeah, this is a bit conflicting because yeah, my part of my entry confirmation checklist, because obviously now we've had this protraction counter to our bias before. Um, we asked is obviously as the key area mitigation time-based liquidity sweep. We can see even on the lower time frame there is here. But look, the candlesticks at the moment aren't great. We also now back within this 15-minute order block. And so I was looking for that micro time frame confirmation. It's either the 5-minute key indicator area invalidation or the 1-minute market structure shift to confirm that I can enter the trade. You see, I need a reversal candle printed. And to be honest, I haven't gotten my reversal candle yet because I look for either a retrace and engulfing a doji wick or a double opposing. This would technically be a double opposing because it's just two bearish candlesticks, but yeah, this part of it is quite crucial. And yeah, that's a bit conflicting now that we obviously said we're going to back test this period, but if I can't even go down to the 5 minutes check, if the 1 minute I understand, but geez. Maybe what I'll do for the next session is I'll look back at um, how far back the 5 minute goes to, and then we can start back testing from there, because that's a crucial part of how I enter. And I feel like it may distort my back testing sort of data if I don't have that in alignment with um yeah the entry. um so yeah, look, let's I'm gonna wait for further confirmation. Yeah, I also just want to see how the beginning of this kill zone kind of plays out, to see if we are in fact protracting lower. I know we have swept this liquidity. It's actually such a clean trade. We've mitigated this one-sided fair value gap. Um, but yeah, I just want to see how we react to here. We may sweep and then come higher, or obviously sweep and just sell off. So yeah, developed a bit. We've swept. We've stayed in this area. Signs that seek and destroy fucking territory, but maybe coming to sweep this level and come up higher into the 79% area before we come lower. This engulfing was clean, but again, the candle we got straight after that kind of invalidated that. Yeah, I'm really conflicted here. I'm just not sure how to go about the whole not all my criteria not being met for me to fully backtest this. I can maybe say for the purpose of this session, I'll keep it to a clean 15-minute candle if we get an engulfing or like a clear retrace. But yeah, going forward, I'm gonna need need to be proactive on that. So let's see how this plays out. To come up into these highs and form, a really clean engulfing again, or even from this level, because we did form this order block here as we came lower. Then I'll look to short. But yeah, let's see. So clean retrace, second candle after the second sweep. Yeah, I'll put this on. The stop is above here. Can I add? Well, first let's look at where I guess profit targets would be. Target this as the 1 hour range low. We've only got 2.21. We target, that 4 hour low, which is just another structural area. We know there's orders resting below there. We get 4:1. So just looking at if I add, if I let's say for example this is 290 flat, and if I add 10 pips, what will we have? We have a 3R. I can deal with that. And we obviously will be triggered, so let us log this position. And because we are, just want to remind you, we are counter trend. Our entry is also counter trend. It is a resistance position. It's counter trend, but says the same thing. Daily is at a premium or discount rather. Trend established. Not within a key indicator area on the 4 hour, but on the 1 hour it is. And it is a order block. And perhaps this is where I want to go back to what I was saying at the beginning, is that I would much rather prefer to have this, up here, for example, 60 pips, because that then invalidates this whole order block. The one-sided fair value gap has already been violated. So with my stops where it currently is, yes, I added 10 pips, but if we had to come up and take out my stops, but still respect this area here and arguably even these highs here, we're still respecting this range liquidity here, because this is where a lot of our orders are. So yeah, the current stop isn't ideal. It's not as efficient as I'd like it to be. But yeah, just wanted to make that observation. Mm. See, when we get a candle like that, the first candle, sus. But yeah, let's just see how it plays out. We see our first target. Let's remember that 1180 is just 390. Yeah. So quick fast, but in this case, it invalidated the whole order block. So it's fine here because look, I arguably got a tighter stop, but if it did respect that, then I'd be upset by the fact that it did. It's not that you should feel any type of way around your stop hitting, your stop, around price hitting your stop, but would have much rather preferred to have been able to place that above these highs here, because then at least I know now these buy stops were targeted, and that wasn't, and they were rather the counterparty than the orders that were kind of being fulfilled. So is he screenshotting the wrong things here? Oh man. That one, yeah. Um, 15 minute was. Yeah, what is going on here? Yeah, and then just another observation. We've again seen a break beyond that 79% level, monitoring just to see how then, if price will still respect this range or if we're going to break higher. Mm, Now just zooming out. Look, we are still within the order block, just considering now we're heading into New York session. Um, this is still counter trend, 4 hour. Now, obviously, trying to determine is our entry pro trend or counter trend. Just looking at what's okay. Well, fuck, the 4 hour kind of made that clear. But we could see we weren't really in a 4 hour key indicator area. There was nothing much here. The next area we have on the 4 hours here to the right, this fair value gap. I've just marked out the daily two-sided fair value gap, just because obviously if we close above that on the daily, then strong indication that well, one, we're in a daily discount, and then two, if we're starting to invalidate those key indicator areas, then potential signs for reversal. I see. Oh, yeah. So yeah, got that daily on. We've tapped into, well, I see on the 4 hour, we will tap into um, the 4 hour level. But yeah, I think let's just continue on the minute 15. And I'll just proceed to execute as if, nothing, I didn't see nothing. On the 1 hour, there isn't much, obviously below, just in terms of longs. We're obviously in this order block here, but look, I can say that gets violated. There's this fair value gap above, which coincides with the 4 hour. So I'll leave the 4 hour one on. Then obviously we're within a daily area, but I don't really trade out of daily fair value gaps. It's just more from a bias observation or analysis perspective. So at the moment, nothing. I think heading into the session, that will kind of be tradable. Um, Obviously, just looking at when we violate this order block is already violated before that session opens, as well as then that range. And then now we obviously flip on the 1 hour. So it will just be interesting to see how that factors into what happens going forward. So we are now just at that open. And obviously the open, that candle closes at New York Open. So it would have closed quite bullish. Um, just trying to look to see where we are within this 4 hour range. Still within 70 and a half, 79. But I think that reaction we're seeing is obviously just out of this area where we've got a lot of short orders. And so naturally, probably seeing that reaction out of there. So I just want to, just so we can see it on the lower time frames. Just see really what's here. 15-minute is also an area. Let's see how we behave. So looks like we protracted low at the open. Obviously got this reaction higher. But for me to be able to take an entry, now looking at our trade parameters and actually even before, before we look at the mitigation of the area, are we within in alignment with the 1 hour? We're actually not, because the 1 hour has now flipped bullish, and this would be wow. Was I looking at this on the 15-minute before? Oh, I most definitely was. Yeah, fuck that one. So this, if we're being honest, was actually just an invalid trade, this previous one. Because what I'd said was the 1 hour range was actually within the true 1 hour range. Obviously we did get, the shift here and high, low, high, high, then we shifted low. But that's all still within, these points here. Oops, I'm tired. Harder. Um, yeah, Kish there. But look, we just taking it from this range then. So 1 hour is technically still bearish. I do stand corrected. This point, look, we were within EPD still, so and it was still an hourly order block. So I actually wouldn't say invalid, but I guess my interpretation of the 1 hour range was just incorrect, because at this point here, we had come up into the 62% area. We had formed this 1 hour order block, and we were back in that area. We ticked off all our boxes on the trade parameter section, and so this was, in fact, a valid trade. So we're now obviously just extending it to what's happening here. We're on the 4 hour here. We've got, the hour here. We've got the 4 hour fair value gap. We've got the daily two-sided, that at least from this candlestick looks like it's being respected. And so, yeah, we'll look to, let's see how, if we get any opportunities out of this area in the session, or maybe in London session. Yeah, might have time just to go over into that and see how it's playing out. But obviously, if we just look at our entry criteria now, I can actually just roll that back. I'll add some detail to that in a bit. Look at the entry criteria. We've mitigated. 4-hour is indeed still bearish at this point. You can see the trend predominantly is bearish. As my entry counter trend or pro trend. Look, whether it's counter trend or pro trend, let's look. Do I have a pro trend entry? I need a daily or a 4-hour order block to be trading out of. Price is not within a 4-hour order block. I know it's not within a daily. We did look at that earlier, and the daily hasn't changed. And so looking at a counter trend trade, which would be short, 4-hour, 1 hour is priced within a key indicator area. We know it's here at this fair value gap on the 4-hour, and also on the 1 hour, there is a fair value gap there. 15-minute, we've got the same. So the conditions align for a counter trend setup, counter trend to the daily at least. So it's still a resistance setup because we've got the counter trend 4-hour, counter trend entry. And then coming down here. So we did see the protraction, and then, we started heading lower, came up higher, still just a bit upset that we can't go down into the 5-minute so I can get the entry confirmation that I'm looking for. But look, let's see. We've confirmed it's a counter trend, can proceed to trade parameters. Let's confirm. Is my trade in alignment with the 1-hour range? It is. Is it at EPD? We are. Is there protraction counts to my bias before, during the kill zone open? So we got this impulsive leg higher before, and I think arguably, look, there was no entry or setup for me. This wasn't a very strong or definitive candle. So I'll look potentially for another sweep of liquidity, but I'll end this off where the kill zone kind of stops, so that, look, if we don't get price up higher into that region before then there'll just be no setup. But I have a feeling this is just kind of going to sell off. Not really, but we're out of the kill zone now. So I'm going to let this play and develop. We're still in this area. I just want to see how this is going to play out early in London. We did just form a near miss of this 15-minute fair value gap here. So I think we could potentially still get this run of liquidity early during London session, or at kill zone open. And then, have a setup. So like that, we formed this high, haven't mitigated that yet, so haven't swept that liquidity. Obviously, we've got one high to the downside here. So I'll kind of just be looking for that to be taken out and then price to head lower. Into kill zone open, we get the run of liquidity. And so just coming back to our checklist, is there protraction counter to my bias before or during the kill zone open? There is. Is there key area mitigation or time-based liquidity sweep? We've got both, because we've got this 15-minute key area. We're obviously within an hour. And then we've also got this sweep of liquidity, which was the daily high yesterday. So a significant time-based liquidity. So again, can't go down into the 5-minute to confirm that or the 1 minutes alignment with this, because obviously we need a 15-minute reversal. I'd need price to shift structure on the 1 minute or invalidate a key indicator area on the 5 minutes, and then obviously I want us to 3 with news, but that's irrelevant now. So I'll just be looking for um, a solid 15-minute reversal candle, just so that there's potentially something we take in this session. Ran through that, but hold. Yeah, and then that's invalidated. So no setup here. We've now on the 15-minute, but seems like 4-hour as well. Invalidated one-sided fair value gap. So that's potential signs that we are going to shift structure, impulsively heading a lot deeper into premium. We've breached that 79% area, so kind of warning signals that we may be going beyond the 100% area at this point, which would be there. But yeah, that's where I think we will stop this week. Yeah, I think just for me, and I need to go in and just think around how, or at which point at least, I'm going to start back testing from where there's that 5-minute data, because I think that was a key change in my plan this time around, and I want to be able to see the effect of that. It may be only 2 months from here, or 2 months back, 3 months back, whatever it is. It may be the previous week only. So I may, back test my previous week in these sessions, because if that allows me to go down into the 5-minute and see how it's responding, then rather that than just trying to collect data, a whole bunch of data, if I'm not able to do it as per my plan, like kind of to the T. And I think also going forward, something I'm going to test is doing these sessions a lot earlier in the morning, during my first block. So 5 in the morning. I just feel like I'm fresher. I just think more clearly. Over the past couple of weeks, these evening sessions have just felt a bit taxing, and I don't want to do this just for the sake of doing it. I want to make sure that even if there's 1, 2 of you, nobody viewing, that I'm bringing, the right energy to this, and it's as valuable as possible, and not like I'm just trying to run the time down. So that's something I'll probably experiment from next week. And then also something that I'm looking at is wanting to, develop a backtesting journal where I can start tracking the data that is relevant to me. Because I am on TradeZilla at the moment. They do have a backtesting feature, but it's part of like their premium plan, which I'm not on, and I don't have plans to be on it in the short term, at least in the next month or 2 or whatever. But there's a lot of data that I'm going to be collecting, each week, because I have multiple backtesting sessions. So yeah, that's a bit of homework for me as well, just to wrap my head around how to do that efficiently. I do have a few. Look, I have Notion. Obviously, I log all my trades here, so I may be able to just customize this backtesting section here, where it can then show me the data that I'm looking for based on the tags that I input. So I will maybe try to optimize this. But yeah, this has got a lot of data on here from like 2020. So yeah, I don't know how successful that might be, but yeah, that's something I just want to go away with. And then maybe just looking at what the observations were for the session, if there were any key takeaways. correlations didn't. I don't think I tested enough um, data to, or I actually didn't even look at pound JPY dollar index. Let me not lie. But mainly because I back tested a day, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was literally a day. So yeah, a daily correlation, I think is just too small an increment to get a real insight from. But I should have been taking note of it because obviously I'll have multiple of these sessions, and over time there could be patterns. Um, how likely is it that a pair will retrace beyond 100% of exceeds OTE level? Um, I mean, very briefly, if I just go a bit forward here, we violated this. So this is now twice where we have gone beyond 79% and then violated the level. On the daily, we turned at the 79% level. So I mean that's three times where we've kind of respected that. On this part, we held at 79%, and it looks like we're getting a reaction at least for now, but may develop into something more. And then obviously on the hourly, twice, once we got beyond that point, we just ended up doing 100% reversal. So that's probably going to be a key metric that I want to start tracking. And then add 5 to 10 pips to each stop loss. Obviously, only took one position, so not much to take away from there. But yeah, remember, guys, consistency is the choice you make when you start doing the things you know you should be doing day in,